In this video, we're going to go over how to build your dynamic GUI from scratch. You'll go to the Administration tab, click on Dynamic GUI, and you'll see all of the things that can use the dynamic GUI. We'll use the Room Data Sheet window for this example, but they all work the same. You'll then want to right-click on RDS to create a new RDS flag. This is the first level in your dynamic GUI structure. We'll give it a name of flag. The next thing you're going to do is right-click to start to build the next section, which is your groups. So we're just going to call this group as well. And we're going to check the box to include the name of the group within the actual user interface. So check that box if you want to see the name of the group. After groups, we've got elements. So I'm going to right-click on groups to create our first element. I'm just going to call this element 1. And then finally, you right-click to create the field. So there's 4 levels: flag, group, element, and field. And the first field type we're going to use is called a logic field. And we're going to put a label in front of called field A. So now we have our first field. You can see that it's called field A. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly create another field, but you'll see that there are several different field types: fixed text, numerical. I'm going to use a radio button in this case. And the radio button type I'm going to use is non-editable, but there's lots of different options. Editable, you can do it horizontally. You can explore these different options when you're working with a radio button. And finally, I'm going to associate this radio button with a series of options. The first one being blank, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Those will be the options in the drop-down menu when I use that. And I'm also going to connect this drop-down menu combo box to that field A logic field. This is called enable or disable, which you can associate a logic field with your options. So notice that when I click field A, I can pick from the drop-down menu. If I don't have field A selected, I wouldn't be able to pick from the drop-down menu. So that's called a relationship. The next thing I'm going to do is build another element. I'm just going to call this element 2. And for the field type, we looked at logic field, we looked at radio buttons. In this case, I'm going to do a single line edit. So I'll do the same thing as before. I'll create a quick label in front of my single line edit. And we'll see that when I hit save and refresh, it's constantly updating the user interface down below. This is a preview of what I can actually see when I'm working with the user interface. The next element I'm going to do is element 3. And for this one, I'm going to do a multi-line edit. So there are times where you might need more text than what you have in a single line edit. We'll do the same thing. We'll create a label in front of it. And we can determine the number of pixels by changing the width, and we can change the height, which is the number of rows. Now in this example, I'm going to put 200 just to show that 200 is way too many rows, but I can always modify that and reduce that. So keep in mind that the width is the pixels and that the height is actually the number of rows. So if I change my number of rows to 20, you'll see that my bar on the right hand side is a little bit shorter. So there's fewer options here. So keep in mind as you're building your GUI, what your users will experience is what you see down below.